What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another phenomenal episode of the Vegans Who Live podcast, brought to you by your favorite vegan hosts. We have Brooke Sellers, aka Miss Meatless Muscle, and myself, John Thomas, aka the Bodybuilding Vegan. Brooke, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. I am sticking to my New Year's resolution. I'm just
Okay.
kidding. I actually didn't
No.
have one. I didn't make one this year. I don't know. I'm just not a big New Year's resolution person. What about you?
I I am the type of person that when I want to do something, I do it. So I don't ever try and like put things off. I mean, I granted I procrastinate all the time because I have 5 million things going on, but like if it's important, it starts now. So I do get the extra push. I think it's like almost like a societal thing. Like if everybody else is doing it, maybe I should do a New Year's resolution too. But then I think if you haven't done the due diligence as to like why you're doing it or how you're going to do it, a lot of people just bite off way more than they can chew, and then they get a bit discouraged if it doesn't go exactly the way they want, and then they just give up, and then they get in this kind of start stop cycle as opposed to just building some momentum with small habits. But yeah, that's my side.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I sat down, I kind of thought about what I wanted for 2025 and like set some goals, but yeah, I don't have anything that's like a big resolution ever. I don't know. And I'm kind of like you, like even when I started working out, I actually started on my birthday. And typically that's a day people want to just eat all the things and eat cake, and I just was at a point where I just had it. Like I couldn't take one more day. I was like I need to start tomorrow. I don't care, if it's my birthday and what I eat, but I'm going to go to this Planet Fitness and I'm going to go work out. And I did it, and I don't know. So yeah, I've never been a New Year's resolution person, but I think, maybe for some people that is the step in the right direction for them. Um, Maybe it's what gets them started, which is great. I would really be curious to see like some actual data on how many people set I wonder if we could just ask like GPT or chat GPT really quickly. I don't know. How many people
Yeah,
set resolutions each year and actually stick to it? Like what percentage? I wonder if Sean could pull it up.
probably like less than 2%. But if your resolution is to get in the gym and you get your foot in the door, maybe it's not exactly what you thought. Maybe you thought you were going to go do cardio classes and yoga and that's all it was going to be, and then you tried the free weights and you loved it. I mean, for me, I was a wrestler, and before that believe it or not, I was a cross country runner. That was my thing. And we went into the gym to do some weightlifting to get stronger for wrestling, and that was it for me. I never went back to wrestle again. I had fallen in love in one day with lifting weights, and I sucked at it. I couldn't even bench 100 pounds. Like I didn't. People think like, oh, you must have really good genetics to be where you're at now. I was like, no, 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 no. I've just been at this for a very long time, and so for me, that one time of going in completely changed everything for me. So yeah, maybe that could be their in. All you need is an in. Once you're in, you might get hooked. It's addicting.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking off air. Last Friday was what's called Quitters Friday. I didn't even realize that was a thing until this year. One of my clients posted that she had made it past Quitters Friday. And I'm like, well, that is something good to celebrate, I guess. So hopefully all of you listening are past that point. And if you're not, then tune in because we're going to give you some tips on how to keep going, how to stay motivated, how to stay committed. And even if it's not January, even if you just started your diet or you just started going vegan or whatever, we've got some good tips in store today.
Yeah. And I think full transparency, we are not quitters. About 30 minutes ago, we had no clue what we were going to talk about today, and we put this together. So You know what? It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up. And maybe, it's the fourth agreement. If you read the four agreements, is always do your best. And the caveat to that is sometimes your best is different on one day versus the other. Allie's leaving, so I'm going to say goodbye. Bye. I love you.
Oh.
Yeah. So she's, everybody has things to do. She's got a place to be. So I don't know. I don't know if that's fair to share or not. Is it fair to share?
Since you put
I put her out there. She's got a funeral to go to. So,
Oh.
yeah. Anywho, it has nothing to do with this podcast. Don't quit. Be a winner, because winners don't quit and quitters don't win. I'm getting back into it. Sean dropped some studies here on New Year's resolutions. 80% abandon their New Year's resolutions by mid-February. 40
Oh.
to 50% of people each year set resolutions, but only 8 to 10 successfully achieve the long-term goal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think, though, the SMART method. I don't even know if I know it, but it's like specific, measurable,
Achievable or
achievable,
actionable? Yeah, actionable
realistic,
time, I think. Oh
realistic
yeah,
and time. Yeah.
realistic time. Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
So if it's your first year in the gym and you're like, I'm going to bench 315, unless you're a freak and probably using drugs, it's just not going to happen. So maybe your goal is just, I'm going to lift 3 days a week for the next year. Like if you can be realistic, and I truly think, we had Tyler in the academy, and here it is: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant. That makes sense, and time bound. If you guys can Google this at home and dig deeper and set your resolutions. But Tyler was in our academy, and he was really big on building habits. And I think, that alone, I think bodybuilding for me, it was a habit. It was like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. Okay, now I'm going to plan my food. And now I'm just going to do this again and again and again. And by being consistent, you make results. So, anywho,
Yeah, my favorite out of that one is wait, actually no, it's achievable, isn't it? It's not actionable.
yeah, it's achievable.
But I like actionable. I always tell my clients make actionable goals, because especially like if your goal is weight loss, and this is what I feel like I did in the beginning. I didn't even weigh myself for a really long time on my weight loss journey. I just like I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go to the gym 4 times, before school this week or whatever. I don't remember exactly, but that was all I focused on. And like I kind of like briefly got into running, and I'd be like, okay, today I'm gonna do 10 minutes. Tomorrow, like next week, I'll do 12 minutes or like whatever. And I just slowly worked my way up. And I think that's a really good way to set goals, because if you focus on like, all right, I'm going to lose 5 pounds this month, you may or may not lose 5 pounds. Like you could be doing everything right. You could be 100% hitting your calories. You could even be in a deficit. You could be doing all the cardio, all the right things, but you have normal fluctuations in your body, and that's not necessarily something you can control. But you can for sure control how many times you go to the gym or how many days that you get your protein in. So I like actionable because I think that forces you to take action too. Like it forces you to make those changes, which ultimately that's what it's all about. Like if nothing changes, right? So you have to make those changes. I think a lot of people just have a hard time accepting that too.
Yeah, and this ties in everywhere, like bodybuilding, fitness, career, whatever. Like, for example, if your goal is to get a promotion at work and you don't get that promotion, you have to you get to, if you choose to, view this as a learning experience. Go back and think, where could I have performed better? Who could I have talked to or advocated better to get this raise? What work could I have done that might have put me in a better position to reach this? And then also just be really objective. Like, does your boss hate you because you have green hair? If so, you just might not be getting that raise. And the same thing with bodybuilding. If you don't get the placing you want on stage, you can either say the judges are full of shit, or maybe you can go back and look and see where you could have been better. And it's harder for subjective things like that, but that's why I think with this SMART goal setting method, you can set, as Brooke said, achievable or actionable goals. So maybe like for me, in my last prep, I'll be fully open here. I got last place. I hired one of the best prep coaches in the world. I gave him 2 years of my time. I think we over dieted a little bit, but what I walked away with was I did not miss a single day of cardio, even when I got my tumor removed during prep, even when my dad died during prep, even when I went through a breakup during prep, even when I moved houses twice during prep. Did not miss a single day of cardio. I had only one day where I ate off plan. I sort of had it approved, sort of not. So one day out of 22 weeks. Did not miss a single gym session. Did not miss a single posing practice session. I did everything to the best of my knowledge that was within my power to get the placing I deserved. And at the end of the day, it's how you look on stage compared to other people and what the judges want to see. So I walked away from it feeling pretty confident. Like I did everything. I did. There's nothing that I really could have changed on my end to change that. So like with your goals, same thing. If your goal is to lose 100 pounds, but like, what if you build some muscle along the way? What if, I don't know, you break your foot 3 months into it? You just give up because you didn't hit the 100 pounds? Like, it, having realistic goals, but also seeing it for all that it is, like not being so zoomed in that you're missing the bigger picture.
Yeah. Not to go too far off with this, but I really like your story with your last show, your last prep, because that's really one thing I love about bodybuilding is that it's just so humbling. Like even if you do everything right, 100%, you may look great and you may not place well. Like it has like it's, it's just it's a very interesting experience. And I felt like my second show where I placed lower and I got fourth, that was more of a growth experience. Like that was a more powerful experience for me than when I got first at a local show, you
Yeah.
know? So that's one thing I really like about bodybuilding is that it's pretty humbling. And if you're ready for that kind of growth and you can take that kind of feedback and do better because of it and not let it kill you, then it can be really character building. But yeah, I do think people kind of go down this dangerous road in bodybuilding of thinking I didn't place well enough, so that means I'm not good enough or I'm a failure or whatever it is. I worked so hard for nothing. And you have to have that mindset of like, no, I did everything I could, like no matter what, I won because I got myself there. Like I got myself to the stage. And especially if you come in like super conditioned like you did, like it wasn't just like you woke up and decided to go to a bodybuilding show, like you put in a lot of work. So yeah, that's one thing I love about the sport. But I guess just to tie that back in, yeah, I think you have to be very objective with your goals. And you know what? Embrace failure. I think that's a good lesson from bodybuilding too. And it's not even really a failure just because you don't place how you want to, but there's a lot of people who would let that set them back,
Yeah.
and or like even people like I have clients all the time, they have one bad day. They have one weekend where, they go out, maybe they go to a vegan food festival, like whatever, and they blow it. They're like, I'm up 3, 4 pounds, sometimes 5 pounds. And I'm like, it's okay. It's one weekend. You're doing this for the rest of your life. Like if you just keep going, you're going to be fine. But I think you have to learn from your mistakes. Don't be so hard on yourself and just use it for growth. Don't let it break you.
100%. I did an internship with Amazon and I realized one of their like core tenets was fail hard and fail fast, or fail fast and fail hard, one of the two. And at first I was like, why are they encouraging us to fail? And it's like, no, like you're gonna fail on your journey to success. So go ahead and get those out of the way early, go into them hard. And it makes a ton of sense. Like you learn, in my experience, the days where everything just lined up perfectly and things went well for me, I don't think I learned a lot. I just coasted on those days. But the days where I got smacked around and learned, okay, this is not the way to do it, that was a learning experience. And whatever that was. And even, my coach had a heart to heart with me. He called me after my show and he's like, I sincerely believe you gave your best. And sometimes your best isn't good enough. And man, that was like a backhanded compliment. Like on the one hand, I did everything right, but then on the other hand, I wasn't good enough. And it does kind of make sense. Everybody wants to think that bodybuilding is like somehow like an equal sport genetically, but like if I was trying to be Shaquille O'Neal, playing the NBA, it'd be the same thing. My best just probably wouldn't be good enough, even if I dedicated my life to it. A lot of people just think if you try harder or work longer or do more drugs that you can become a world-class bodybuilder. And that's just not the case. It's a
Yeah.
very, very competitive and genetic driven sport. Um, yeah, failure. And but like I think bodybuilding has forced me to do some things to be good at it that have helped me in so many other areas of my life. And this is probably true with like most sports, but every day you go to the gym as a bodybuilder, you're trying to fail. I'm not trying to go hit a set of 10. I'm trying to put about enough weight on the bar to hit around 10 and then do it until I fail. So if I get 10, maybe I'm not happy, but if I do 9 and I go for 10 and I fail, I'll at least be. That happens sometimes. I'll get less reps than I wanted, but like I went to full failure and like bottomed out on the leg press or fell down on the hack squat, and it's like, well, I found failure today. That's what I want. And so you go in there and you try and fail, which a lot of people, that is a mind fuck. And you chase pain in bodybuilding. It's usually like how many reps you can do is kind of how much pain, especially for little things like arms or sometimes big things like legs, like how much pain can you endure? Whereas we're taught our whole lives to avoid pain, and sometimes even like unhealthily, like avoid mental pain and push aside traumas and not work through them. So if you participate in a sport like bodybuilding or even just lifting or the gym in general, like even if you're not a competitor, I think it puts you on another level, and it allows you to do hard things. I mean, usually for me, like tomorrow is legs. I'm a little bit nervous already, and like that'll be the hardest thing I do all week. There's nothing else that could be harder than a hard leg day in my opinion. So it's kind of nice that I get to control that. Like dealing with work issues or client issues or relationship issues or personal issues, I'd rather deal with any of those than go train legs again. So but
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of I think everybody kind of gets into fitness for their own reasons. And I do find that there's like certain personalities that it just bodybuilding, fitness, whatever it is, their passion for exercising, being athletic, like it's part of who they are. And it's like a really strong connection, and I feel like you have to have that when you're trying to find your why, like your reason for doing this is it's got to be something that gets you excited to wake up every day. Like you watch these like crazy movies. I watched this crazy movie um where Liam Neeson, he is in this plane crash out in like the tundra, and they have to like survive and stuff, and the whole time he's just like fighting for his life. And it's like, I mean, I would be the same way if I was out there, because I have so much to come back to. Like I would be fighting so hard. And it's the same thing, I feel like, with your goals. You have to really have that strong connection, or you're just not really going to be able to stick with it and find that consistency. And I know everybody has their piece or their therapy in the gym. For some people it's different things. I know for me it helps me. I'm very like anxious. I'm like, I have like too much going on in my head, and I feel like I feel so much better if I move my body and just like get it out. Like I'm like you, I love a heavy leg day because it's just like all this I have in my body and in my head, I could just like take it all out on leg day, and it just feels so good. Like it feels good to be exhausted after, because I feel
yeah.
like I'm always on another level. And then another thing is I do find that I like control of things that I can control, and my food, the gym, my workouts, like I have a lot of control over that. And so I feel like that gives me a lot of peace and a lot of anxiety. And I know some people probably relate. And then, other people, they like the social aspect. Like, everybody has their connection, but I think it's really important to find that, whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we'll get into this later in the episode, but there's, at least for me, a really cool community at pretty much every gym I've been to. I went to a very small gym out here, like more of a hardcore gym in Lakeland called Southern Strength. I'd never heard of it before, but I go in and this guy comes up, shakes my hand, introduces himself to me like mid-set. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's a real small crowd around here. I saw your new face. I just wanted to say hi. I see you're here with some friends. You look like a cool group of people. I'm here if you ever need anything." And it's another competitor. And so I'm like, this is weird. Like, I don't normally say hi to people, but this dude just came up and said hi. And everybody there was like that. And it was a small, tight knit community. I also go to a crunch out here, and you know me, I wear a vegan shirt. I got the vegan head tattoo. So I get the, are you really vegan question all the time. I got accused of trolling the other day. And I said, that is a committed troll. And they're like, well, I've seen some committed trolls. But it allows me to get that social aspect. Because when, you know, at least for me and you, we work from home, it's kind of hard to build a community face to face unless you go outside of your house sometimes. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. That is that's an interesting transition with working from home all the time. I've noticed I crave human interaction in person like I haven't ever in my whole life because I'm a total introvert, but I totally am that way now and I feel like and so me and my boyfriend we have had some communication issues, but I feel like after reflecting, that's a huge part of it because he's with people all day, talking to people all day. It's nonstop. He goes from one patient to the other, and he is like he leaves the house at like 5:30 in the morning, goes works out, and drives 45 minutes in 11 in Atlanta traffic, and that's his day. And then my day, I'm talking because he's always like, "Well, you're talking to people," and I'm like, "But it's virtual. It's just different. It's just different." But I am the same way when I go to the gym, and I used to never be that girl that talked to people at the gym, but now I like having people at the gym, and I don't talk to them through my whole workout, but, it's nice to catch up with people and just, like, connect with other people who share your same interest, and, yeah, I think especially if you're new, that would be a great way to stay motivated and get involved, and I'm not a mom, but, like, there's a whole group of, young moms that I talk to and I'm friends with, and they're really cool chicks. And they all like get their kids together and go out and do stuff like that. So, and they all met at the gym. Like they all met there. That's the one thing they have in common is that they all go to the gym. So, I feel like for a lot of people, it could really be a good support system. Like if you're a stay at home mom or I don't know, like, yeah, you're like us, you work at home and you talk to people virtually all day, but not in person. I think going to the gym, it can have a really good, yeah, support system for people.
100%. For me, I am like you. People don't believe me when I say it, but I am an introvert. And when I go to the gym, I don't like to initiate conversations because I feel like based on my size and other things, like I don't know, I feel like it's gonna if I'm like, oh hey, you want to have a conversation? Like it might be hard for people to tell me no in a sense. You know, like they might not want to offend me or upset me or annoy me. I don't know. Maybe I'm like way too overlooking this, and this is probably like the way an introvert thinks. So I just dress like begging people to come up and talk to me. Like right now with the green hair, the pink jacket, and everything. Like, please come speak to me. But I don't want to come up and talk to you because I'm a little bit of an introvert. And it usually works. I mean, I don't go to the gym without at least a few conversations starting. And then if I've seen somebody a few times or had conversations, then of course I'll go say hi. But for me, it is a little bit difficult to open up like that. Um, and then back to like putting all that together with a spouse or a partner. I don't know. I'm kind of like you, Brooke, in the sense where it is all virtual. The people that I mean, they're real people, but we're not usually speaking face to face the way a therapist would. But sometimes I deal with, to me, what feels like heavy problems with clients, whether they're going through divorce or losing a parent, or like right now, I can't give out too many details, but I got a competitor, and like we're navigating some more emotional and mental battles. And it's like right now the battle isn't prep, the battle isn't off season, the battle is like relearning to love yourself and relearning to have a healthy relationship with food. And I don't want to mess this up. So it's filling my cup and draining my cup at the same time. And by the time the end of the day hits, when I work from 8 a.m. to like 8 or 9 p.m. and Allie's like, let's hang out, let's go do something. And I'm just like, oh God, I'm so drained. And she's like, you just want to watch a show? And some days I'll be honest, I'll be like, today, like, can we just like zone out and watch TV? But then I have to plan days for myself where I clock out earlier. Otherwise, I'll get to that point where I'm just so drained. Um,
Yeah.
Communication is very important in relationships.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Um yeah, I feel like you have to be aware of your social battery sometimes, your work battery, all the different things that you have to juggle. And sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. But yeah, it's a lot to juggle. But then I mean, again, I feel like that's one of the things going to work out and going to the gym can help with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my biggest thing is when people tell me like I work so much and I'm so busy and I'm so stressed. I was so stressed I didn't want to go to the gym and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's the best thing that you could do. It's the best thing that you could do if you're depressed, if you're anxious. And I don't even care if you go to the gym, like, or get outside or do whatever, but like just move your body, just
Yeah.
exercise. You're literally releasing chemicals in your brain that are going to help you fight off how you're feeling. And I mean, there's nothing better you could do than that. It's better than taking a medication or I don't know. It's like you're physiologically telling your body that you're safe, you feel good, you're healthy, all these things. And, so I feel like, if you're someone who's super stressed and you're not working out, there's another reason to work out, to stick with your goals, because it's going to help you so much with your stress.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be lifting weights. It can be literally like any intentional movement of your body. And even, I guess, potentially even just like meditation and other things like that. But I personally feel like walking for me, I call it walk therapy. Because if I'm doing just enough to kind of move my legs, it like slows down my brain. Whereas my brain can just go at a million miles an hour all the time. But if I'm walking, my brain's at like 3 miles an hour. That's where I'm walking, and it's like I'm present. So I've started even with some new signups. I don't always change everything for my clients all at once. Sometimes I like to experiment on people, which sounds wrong, but it is what it is. I've had a few new signups, and I'll program them like a 40 or 60-minute walk on top of their cardio. Like we have cardio for heart health and cardio for burning calories, but then more for mental health. Like I want you to do a 40-minute walk in the sun without your phone. And like I need to program that for myself more often because it is, at least for me, it's like walking therapy. So that movement, anybody can do that. You don't, even if you have, well, I mean, I guess it depends on the extent of your injuries, but if you're like, I can't lift because I got a shoulder thing from high school, well, you can go walk, you can bike, you can find something. Maybe you can lift in a different way. Hire a really knowledgeable coach or a physical therapist to walk you through some safe movements that you can do. To get back on
Yeah.
the introvert extrovert, Sean dropped a good definition here, something I had never heard. An ambivert is someone who exhibits traits of both introversion and extroversion, balancing characteristics from each personality type depending upon the situation. Ambiverts can enjoy social interactions and group activities like extroverts, but also appreciate solitude and quiet reflection like introverts. Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I It must be a spectrum, just like many other things. I
It
think
makes
my
sense.
spectrum would be in the middle, leaning towards introvert, but just I feel that way
Same.
because Sean says 80% of people are ambivert. Interesting. I feel like I still lean more towards introvert because like if I get invited to something, my first response is no, I want to stay home. And if I do go to something and have a great time at an event, I feel super drained after. But that's just me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess also at times, it changes with times in your life too as well. Like I feel like, probably there's times of your life you're overwhelmed, you're overworked, and you'd much rather stay home than go out. And I feel like that's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, somebody will invite me to something, and at first I'm like, yeah, that'll be fun, and then I'm like, oh my god, but it's going to take me an hour to get ready, it's going to take me an hour to drive there, and then I'm going to probably be there 2 hours, and then I'm going to be come home, and it's going to be like 9:30, and I'm going to be exhausted. Yeah, so I feel like there's times in your life where maybe it would be more fun, but yeah, I mean, I
well,
guess
let's
that makes sense.
let's go back younger. Let's go like elementary school. Did you raise your hand in school? Like if the teacher's like, does anybody know the answer to this math question?
No.
I used to be like, I'll just be honest, I was smarter than most of the kids in the room. And up until about second grade, because I started getting bullied a lot. But up until about second grade, I was always answer with the right question or the right answer to the question. And then I just stopped. I'd be silent. does anybody know? Nobody knows. All right, well, and like I would know, but I would just not answer because I didn't want to be looked at. I didn't want to be the attention person, which is so weird now. What about like in high school or college? Did you go to parties?
I did not go to parties, no, in college. In high school, yeah, high school was more so like my party stage. But I don't know. I just kind of like followed my friends around because my friends were super extroverted girls who, they would talk to anybody. And I would just kind of, follow them around and do whatever they were doing. But in college, it's funny because I wasn't a partier in college, but I was that student for sure. But um, I would raise my hand. I would definitely start debates in the classroom and shit like that. And yeah, I did. I went way above and beyond. But yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I'd probably be middle of the road, I guess. But I just feel like I'm tired lately. Maybe it changes as you get older. Does it change as you get older? Because my birthday's next month.
You're still young. You're in your 20s. Don't even. You got plenty of time.
Oh my gosh.
I I remember I would kind of the same thing. I would kind of do what my friends group would do, but like sometimes they would go to parties, and I just didn't. I was like, let's just go hang out in one of the rooms, like the four of us, not the 75 people at this house party. I don't know. I just was not a very outwardly social person at the time. And I remember in college, like we had an ethics class, which I thought was hilarious. And they're like, is anybody vegan or vegetarian? I was the only person. I raised my hand. Immediately, this girl's like, what do you only do? Eat twigs and berries? And I'm just like, I guess we're having this conversation in front of everyone. And I wish me now could go back and have that conversation again. It'd be fun. But at the time, it was like the very much opposite of how do you know somebody's a vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. I was that please don't ask that question. Please, I don't want to have to defend why I think it's wrong to kill baby animals. But
Oh, I know.
now I realize my own introversion and my own fear of speaking up does not really matter anywhere near compared to the animals that are being killed. So I do speak up pretty much every chance I get, to the point where some people probably don't like me. I just recently started but did not finish Christspiracy. Have you seen it?
I still have not seen it.
So I would like to do more research to find out if all of it is factual, but at least some parts I believe are factual. And I learned that in India, they're not allowed to kill on the dairy farms the male cows that are born. So their solution, because it's inhumane or it's against their religion or law to kill the cows, on a dairy farm, the goal is to produce milk. So the babies are basically a byproduct that we don't need. So instead of shooting them in the head like we do in the United States, they tie them to a fence and let them starve to death. And seeing that really affected me this last week. It awoken something in me. So when I went to Sprouts and this lady's like, "Oh, do you want to try our pasta sauce? It's got 15 grams of protein." And I'm just like, did you not see the tattoo, the shirt, the socks, the shoes, the arm tattoo? She's like, I see it says vegan on you though. So I figured I'd just ask to be nice. And I was like, well, I appreciate you offering, but the fact that it has meat in there, just watched a documentary, and it really hurts in my heart when I watch baby cows get killed because they're not useful for meat or dairy processing. And it just makes me sad inside. And she just looked at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, it's all right. We both think each other are crazy. But I will speak up now because I realize me being that scared 20-year-old college student wasn't really doing much to change the world. And so I guess we'll use this platform on this podcast, and I'll encourage people, speak up for what matters to you, whatever that social issue is or animal rights issue is or human rights issue. If we don't speak up, even if we're not contributing directly to the problem, we're still allowing it to occur. So I empower you. Please speak up. Use your voice.
Yeah.
And with that, maybe we move to community building.
Yeah. With your goals.
Yeah, like kind of tying it back into your goals, like how to support, what you're trying to do. For me, When I went to college, I didn't have a ton of friends. Funny enough, we just kind of talked about that. But what I found was if I went to the gym at the same times, like if I went Monday at every 5 p.m. at every Monday, you run into the same people. People are very habitual. Or you could take a class. Like I wasn't really interested in like spin cycling classes, but I went at the same time each week for like 4 weeks and I ended up making a few friends. So if you just show up repeatedly at the same time in the same place, so will other people. And maybe you're doing something, in a spin class. We don't have to talk about veganism. We can talk about the weather or the spin class and make some connections that way. But that I feel is a really useful tool to meet other like-minded people. I think yoga, that was another one. I did yoga and definitely I still have friends from doing yoga. So that would be one of my advices as far as like kind of building your community to support your goals.
Yeah, I have several friends who do the classes, and they've always made tons of friends doing the classes. So I think that's certainly an easy way to meet people. I feel like most of the time, the people who are taking classes, they're often there to meet other people. Like, especially women. I know women, a lot of times, they'll take a yoga class to meet other girls that they can hang out with and stuff. So I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to talk to people. That certainly was me for a while. I don't know. I just and not that I'm like totally out here talking to everybody because I've had some bad experiences in gyms too. So I know not to talk to everybody and share all my business out there
Yeah.
anymore. But also like just being selective. Like, you can tell when somebody's really got your back or not, and what people's intentions are. I think you just have to be aware of that. But yeah, not being afraid to talk to people. I feel like girls are really easy to talk to, and I used to be so nervous to talk to other girls. I feel like guys are easy to talk to. Like you just kind of, I don't know. Guys are just happy at girls talking to them most of the time, I feel like. So, but
Uh,
girls, I don't know. I would get nervous talking to girls because I didn't know if they would like be catty or like, I don't know, be mean or be any sort of way. But girls are so easy. Like you can just literally go up to another girl in the gym, be like, I love your leggings. I love your shoes. Like you're so pretty. Like I was like, oh my gosh, you are so strong. I saw you lifting all that weight back there. Like there's so many things you can say, just compliment her that breaks the ice. And then there you go. You can start a friendship. That's like almost all of my girl friendships in the gym. It's like somebody just complimented somebody and then, we
there you
started
go.
talking from there. So I feel like girls are easy.
Guys, you might want to be careful with this approach. They might think you're hitting on them. So,
Yeah, definitely.
but yeah, I think if I like give a girl a compliment in the gym, it's never going to be anything. Well, you got to read the room. You really do.
Yeah.
If I'm like, oh, those are great legs, then they're probably going to be like, what's with this weird guy? But I mean, I used to train at a lot of bodybuilding gyms. I'd be like, wow, your delts are incredible. Or like one girl I know, I'm friends with her now. She was doing like 4 plates and a quarter for sets of 12 on the pendulum. And I'm just like, your quads are as big as mine. And she's like, yeah, I'm a wellness pro. And I'm like, yeah, your legs look like it. So read the room. And sometimes what I will do, and like, I don't know, maybe this is good, maybe this isn't. I ended up making a friend, a long-term friend, because I watched her like do the hardest set of standing overhead press I've ever seen in my life. Like I had finished my set and I watched her do like rep 8 and then rep 9. And then I was like, there is no way in hell. And then she got 10 and it took her like 8 seconds to get that last rep up. And I waited until she like had put the weight down and was clearly resting. I was like, that's one of the hardest sets I've seen in an entire year. She's like, oh, thanks. I thought I maybe had one more. And I'm like, okay, she's psycho. She was a competitor, but like ended up becoming good friends for a long time. Like, it was a compliment on her effort, not on either her genetic luck of looks or whatever she was trying to do with her. Like, yeah. Anyways, guys have to be a little bit more careful in the gym talking to girls. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's cool because I feel like at the gym, at least, you're around people. And when I say gym, I guess any physical group endeavor, whether or not it's the gym, but the gym is usually you go alone or with a training partner. You're not like flag football where it's a whole team. But everybody in the gym is usually there to make themselves better. Like that's a common goal. I guess that's probably why people like church as well, because I think like typically most churches the goal is hopefully to go and make yourself a better person. Whereas like if you go to the bar to meet people, You're dealing with a lot of people that are self-medicating, going through breakups, just wanting to get messed up. And it's like, for me, it would be not impossible to make friends at the bar. It's just less likely, I think, to make a meaningful relationship there. And then I think where we need to branch out to, really, I mean, Brooke, how did you and I meet?
Instagram.
Instagram. I
Yeah.
think if you're really trying to stick to more like plant-based or vegan or lifting people that are falling in that category, like you might be the only vegan lifter at your gym. There's a good chance of that. I've actually met a couple, and the only reason I met them at my local gyms is because I don't go anywhere without my vegan shirts on. And then they'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm vegan too." And I'll be like, if you had worn a shirt, I would have known. So really, if you're trying to make more people, if you're trying to make friends with more people in person, I would put on some apparel. But then online, that'll be one of the easier ways, I think, to build up that community. And then you can follow some other people that have similar goals to you or in similar places. You can strike up conversations, um, and kind of create some other genuine relationships that might actually end up being friends you meet in person. So, like Brooke was saying, just don't be afraid to talk to people and build that community out. Um, and then I actually have one more idea. I know I just talked a lot, but I have what I feel like is a good one. If you're really trying to build more community, you could get involved with a community. So, like for example, Vegans Explore, I've been working with them and I've met tons of other vegans that I might not would have met had I not tried to have like an actual part or contribution to an organization. So look around. Maybe there's another nonprofit. Maybe Vegans Explore wants more people too. But like you could always reach out and say, hey, you guys have any volunteer spots open? Is there anything that I could do both online and in person to be a part of this movement? It has ideas that are in alignment with how I want to see the world grow. And then that would be another great way, I think, to get on people's radar and make some more connections that will help you, I guess, feel a little bit less alone in some of your pursuits.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally was thinking maybe last week, I was thinking to myself, man, I really wish I had just like a cool girl to go to the gym with who was vegan and likes to train hard, you know, train like I do. Um that I could just go and like have a gym partner, like a training partner with, because I did like having a training partner, and it would be really cool if I could find a cool vegan girl. And I literally thought about just going in this Facebook group, this private Facebook group for vegan Atlanta, and just being like, hey, I'm looking for a vegan girl, you know, maybe like 20s, 30s, who really likes to train hard, likes to work out, lift weights, and you know, wants to meet up a few times to train. So I may actually do that because I still really, really would like to find somebody like that, and I'll let you guys know how that goes.
I was about to say, you have to do it now and you have to let us know how this goes. I think putting that energy out there, whether or not it happens that group or somewhere else, you let the universe know and you kind of subconsciously tell yourself it's going to happen. You'll find a way to make it happen. Maybe even, I don't know, somebody decides to train with you and they're not fully vegan or they need a little bit of help and like they decide, oh, well, if she can do it, I can do it. So yeah, I think that's awesome. I think, if you guys are trying to be bodybuilders, it really does help to have a solid training partner. I can't tell you the number of times where I've done a few extra reps because I didn't want to let my training partner down. It
Yeah.
makes it makes a big difference. Anywho, all right. I do want to cover this. You're wearing a Harry Potter hoodie.
Oh,
Um,
yes, I am.
yeah. Wear, if it's not vegan, at least wear something that's important to you. And like, I guarantee you'll find another Harry Potter nerd wearing that. And no offense with the nerd thing, but I
Oh,
know
I
that's your
am
thing.
full 100% self-declared nerd. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, if it's cool, who cares? Oh, Allie and I started watching The Lord of the Rings. She's never seen it
Oh,
before.
really? I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings person, actually. So maybe I can't call myself a full-on nerd.
Okay. You're a
I
Harry
just
Potter nerd, just not a Lord of the Rings nerd.
because I fell in love with Harry Potter first, and then I felt like I was just constantly comparing the two, and then to me,
Uh,
it could never really live up to Harry Potter, but I don't know. Yeah, I know a lot of people love it, though.
I think they're some of the best books ever written, even if they're the hardest books to read. Harry Potter was really cool because I don't think anything's ever been done on that scale of following a group of actors around every year for that number of sequential years. That was really cool. Almost like a TV series, but with a movie. Um, I think what's cool is sometimes revisiting things like that. Like for me, Legolas was like always my favorite character when I was younger because I thought he was cool and he had the bow and arrow and all these things. And now watching it again, I feel like, and this is me getting real open here. Maybe it's, I don't know, whatever. I'll be open. I'll just pretend I'm talking to you. I really identify with Aragorn now. And you may or may not know the story as much, but Aragorn had the bloodline to be like the next king, but he didn't really believe in himself that he was fit to lead everyone. And then he's got this elf woman like encouraging him to go out there, be the change and lead. And I'm watching it now and I'm like, I kind of resonate a lot more with him because it's like when I watch him, I'm like, oh, he can do this. Like, he can do this. But when I watch myself, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. But he's the one up there saying, I don't know if I can do this. So I'm thinking, whether or not you fully believe in yourself, you still just got to go out there and try. And I don't really want to be a leader, but I also don't want to sit by like that kid that was 20 in college that didn't know how to stand up for what he felt was right. And so I'm now trying to step more into that leadership role and empower other people to stick up for what they think is right. So anyways, watching The Lord of the Rings now as a 30-year-old instead of a, I guess, 15-year-old or whatever when it came, 13-year-old when it came out, it's affecting me in a different way. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to go back and revisit. So
Oh yeah,
anywho,
definitely.
that has nothing at all to do with any of this, but these are just my ramblings. Any
Yeah, no, I think that's always I just watched all the Star Wars like all the way through from A New Hope to The Last Skywalker, all of them. And yeah, I definitely had a different perspective on them. And like, you know, my favorite characters 10 years ago are different than they are now just because of I don't know, you go through life and you go through things and you kind of relate to things that they go through like Anakin Skywalker. I used to love Anakin, but then watching it again, I'm like, what? There's no way. Like this is ridiculous. Why did he make this choice? Like he should have known better. I don't know, it's just funny, but yeah, yeah, it's always good to go back and watch your childhood favorites.
So who is your favorite character?
Oh gosh. That's a tough one because see, I like the silly, goofy character. Like I love C3PO. Like he is just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
He cracks me up the whole movie. And I mean, I have to love Leia because Leia's just a badass. She's just I mean,
Oh
she's a
yeah.
princess, but she gets shit done.
I think Leia has been, at least in my own personal life, you think Luke is the hero in the original series or the original trilogy. And
Yeah.
it's really like Leia's the one that got the Death Star plans. Leia's the one that commanded the armies. Leia's the one that did damn near everything in every movie to saved Luke from dying because she could use the Force. Like, spoiler alert if you haven't watched a movie since the 1970s. But yeah, like just if it wasn't for her, Luke couldn't have done shit. He just had the cool lightsaber, but she's actually the one behind the scenes orchestrating stuff.
Yeah.
I am about to cut this off, but Sean did drop one more definition term here in the chat, and I do want to read it because I feel like it identifies with me. The reluctant leader refers to someone who steps into a leadership role not out of ambition or desire for power, but due to circumstances, necessity, or encouragement from others. These individuals may initially doubt their leadership abilities or feel hesitant to take on the responsibility, but often excel due to their authenticity, humility, and strong sense of duty. And that makes me think
Ah,
about Aragorn. Like, Frodo offered him the ring, and he's like, no, like, I don't want that power. I don't even really want any of this power. I just want to do the right thing. And so I really feel that.
makes me
Anywho,
think of George Washington because George Washington basically did not want to have to be a king or some sort of large authority. And, that's why we have all these different balances of power in our government. So, yeah,
yeah,
it's a good example.
I'm going to have to throw it out there. He owned slaves. I don't understand. Our history is so messed up here. Anywho, just had to throw it out there because some people love him, and yes, he helped found our nation, but also major flaws, major plot holes there. And on that note, God, I don't know how y'all deal with me. Do you want to sign us out or any last things?
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Vegans Who Live podcast. And make sure to leave us a message on vegansexplore.com. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Bye, everybody.